Hello, welcome back to Red Ted Art and another compilation video. Today it's all about pom-poms. I'm going to show you 4 methods for making pom-poms. We've got a fork, we've got some cardboard, some Clover makers, which we really love using, and our fingers. So come on, let's take a look and see how these pom-poms are made. First up, it's the fork method. How to make pom-poms using a fork. So, first thing you'll need is some wool. I've got some reasonably thick, nice bright wool here. I shall cut off a little bit. Whilst I'm doing this, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see you here again soon. Right, I put the wool here and I'm going to hold it in place. There we go. And then I'm going to start wrapping. Like so. I usually go, is it about an inch apart? Make it nice and thick. Keep wrapping. It's kind of a little bit of an experimenting thing. The more you do it, the more you find kind of a pom-pom thickness and shape that works for you. Right, maybe a tiny bit more on the edges. Okay, that should do. That's quite thick, yeah? So you can see. Now I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to take the wool from behind, bring it over and round, so it's sort of, and then I'm going to tie a little knot. You see, like that, and try and get it as tight as possible without ripping the wool, because I often rip the wool. If, like me, you do rip the wool, you could also use like baker's twine in the middle. I'm not being a bit clumsy today with my knots. Trying to hold it in place and then knot it. Here we go. Here we go. So baker's twine could look really nice anyway. So you've got it knotted like this. Pull it off your fork. That's your job done with the fork. And now you start cutting. You don't need pretty little scissors, but pretty little scissors always make things fun, don't they? And just snip, snip. You can of course use your fingers as well, not just your not just a fork. Works really well with fingers too, especially if you want to make bigger pom-poms, because your fingers are wider than the fork. Now I'm going to do the other side. Here we go. So now you can see it's a little bit of a funny shaped pom-pom. Oopsie, and off it goes. And all you need to do now is trim it. It's not a perfectly circular one, it's a bit more oblong, but that's not necessarily a problem. You basically just trim it into the shape you need. I often save the little bits that get trimmed and use it as stuffing on other projects. I'm a bit thrifty like that, can't help myself. So, waste not, want not, I have a little bag full of it. Let's see, what do you think? Do a little bit more here, a little bit more there, and that is actually quite a nice, shaggy pom-pom. Here we go, I think that will do. So put this to the side to save for another day. And there you have your very own DIY, oopsie, pom-poms. We're now going to show you how to use a Clover pom-pom method. This is the one that my kids prefer the most because they're really easy to use. Now we have all these sizes. My favourite size is this one. I think it makes a really good pom-pom size, not too big, not too small, and it means you also doesn't take too long. Right, so let's get started. So you get your pom-pom, you open it up. In fact, when you get it in the shops, you might have it in 2 pieces. So you put them together. Make sure that these sides are lined up, not like that, lined up, and this is lined up. And then you take your wool, hold it in place with your thumb, and then you start wrapping round like this. So, and then you wrap all the way around. Now make sure you don't get anything here. It's got to go wrap all the way around and nothing over here, okay? So literally just all the way around like this. Okay, so you can see this is getting quite full. Now note there's no strings over either of these 2 plastic bits, just going all around the center, and this is almost sort of at a level. So then you can just fold it down, actually bring your yarn to the end like this, and then you can just pop this over and carry on this side. And again, you go all the way around. Remember not to get it here, very, very important, and keep filling it up. Okay, so now the second side's really full. Now we're going to just fold it down and snip. Now we like to make these as full as possible. Obviously you can do a little bit less if that's easier for you, but I think we'd like to have them as fluffy as possible. So now you take your little scissors. It's good to have some really sharp scissors. So these are some craft scissors I've got, but to be honest, we've also got some nail scissors that are nice and sharp, and I use those especially for crafting, so that works really well as well. So there we go. Cut it all the way around, okay? So you can see there's no blue lines left. And I'm cutting this little bit from the corner. Yeah, nothing in the middle, otherwise it won't stay. You turn it around and you cut the same. Make sure your pom-pom maker remains shut. You don't want to open it accidentally. Okay, so all clean, no threads visible. Now you take your string and you push it like so, up, turn it round, and you'd make a little loop like so, and you pull it tight like that. I like to do 2 of those just in case, so I'm going to do it again and pull it. Okay, and then you can cut. Now you have something that looks a bit like that. You can keep these on if you want for hanging, or you know, if you can incorporate in your craft, or you can trim it afterwards. So now you lift this up, and the same on this side, lift and lift, and now comes the magic bit. You pull them apart. Oh, and there you have your very own pom-pom. Wasn't that easy? So I love this traditional cardboard method. This is the one I used to do when I was a child. It's kind of in between in the difficultness level, but really handy. How to make a pom-pom maker using cardboard and some glasses as measures. Now I'm going to start, and whilst I'm starting I'm going to talk to you about how to do it, but we want to be quick and into the project. Remember, we have lots of other crafts here on Red Ted Art. These is just a craft basic. I decided to show you how to make this today because I couldn't find my pom-pom maker. Now there are other ways of making pom-poms. You can use a fork, you can use a Clover pom-pom maker. I'm going to link all of those below and in the iCards, but this is the traditional method that I used to do as a child. So I've got my 2 basic circles. This is actually going to be medium-sized pom-pom maker. Then I get a coin and I make another hole in the middle. So this is now your basic pom-pom maker. Isn't that great? So now I'll show you how to use it. So I'm going to put them together. It doesn't really matter what way. You get your wool. I've got yellow one today for my yellow project. And you start wrapping. Okay, now I think that's about enough. You know, you kind of have to like, this is quite thick, you've got quite a few layers there, and I think I am now ready to give this a cut. So you've got your yarn wrapped around, or your wool. Now using some smaller scissors. I do love my little stalk scissors, they're so cute. Now you have to split this in half because you've got the 2 layers. Can you see? And then you cut in between. Then you grab your wool and you bring it in like this. Is make sure these are all nice and tucked in. So this is always the fiddliest bit with all pom-pom making techniques, is when you come to cutting and wrapping your wool around. So you need to put it in between the 2 layers like so. There's a bit that wasn't cut. There you go. Bring it round. Now tuck it in to make a knot and give it a really good pull. Okay, now make another knot. Here we go, and I'm just going to wrap it around just one more time for safety. Why not? I always like to make things are extra tight. Here we go. Ah, it's looking really good already, isn't it? Now, interestingly, I always find that with these ones, my pom-pom does turn out much rounder than if I use a clover. Then you pull these off, and there you have your very own pom-pom made using 2 cardboard rings. And finally, we have the finger method, which is great for doing whenever, wherever. Up a bit. First thing you're going to do is take a short piece, it doesn't no exact length, maybe 20 centimeters, and put it between your fingers. That's ready for tying off later. Then you start wrapping around your wool like this. Now the thing is about this method, it's great because excuse me, it's great because you don't need any tools, which we don't always have, but you do have to trim quite a lot, so it does waste some of your wool. So if you want to be less wasteful, then using the pom-pom makers could be better for you. But I save the waste and I use it as stuffing. Right, so let's make it really nice and thick. I think that's enough. There's no exact science, just make it look really thick, and then you cut it like this, and then you get your thread into place. You might want to do your first tie. It's not going to be tight until in a minute. Right, just want to get it all in place. And then you tie it off. Try and get it as central to your wool as possible, otherwise you get sort of like one fat end or one short end. Now if you find this fiddly, you really might want to consider using one of our pom-pom makers. Great. Now keep these aside because you're going to use those later for tying. Now you need to get your nice sharp scissors and cut all your loops. Make sure you get them all. Let's just check this side. There you go. And you have your first basic pom-pom. Now this looks a bit messy, doesn't it? And nothing like this chick, but believe me, it started off like this. Because now what we do is we give it a good trim. Like I say, I save all these bits and I use them for stuffing projects. Really good way of reusing that. So I'm going to give it a good trim. That'll do. Anyway, this is the end of our pom-pom making tutorial. Remember, the full videos are all linked down below for extra information. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'd love to see you again soon. Take care. Bye.